What is up, people? Welcome back to Money Mondays, the series that's going to put money in your pocket as a dentist, instantly actionable steps and things that you can undertake in order to make more money in dentistry and also outside of dentistry as well. And today I'm going to be talking about something close to my heart, which is growing a following, something that I never realized the point of until I undertook it myself, until I could see it from the other side. And these are the gems, this is the knowledge that I want to give to everybody who's watching this video today, because I did not realize the point until I went through it myself. And now I personally believe that everybody should have some sort of following on some sort of social media platform. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump straight in. I'm going to share my screen. Here we are, beautiful. Money Mondays, growing a following. Let's go, everyone. Not financial advice, of course. This is probably not so relevant to this particular webinar, given that we're talking about followings rather than finance itself, but we've got it in there anyway. Growing a following, interesting concept, interesting thing to think about. Growing a following as in having followers on a social media platform. Which social media platform? We're not going to go into the specifics of that today. We're more dealing with the philosophy of why you do it and the things that you can see from the other side, or I can see from the other side, being someone that's grown my page. I never used Facebook 2 years ago. I didn't really like it that much. Thought it was a waste of time. And now I'm somebody who thinks that everybody should be using social media correctly, appropriately, and it can be something that massively enhances your life. And if I can go from being that person to this person, then there's hope for anybody on the face of this earth, trust me. And as well as that, well, there must have been some enlightening revelations that made me change my attitude on that, certainly, and that's what I'm here to share today. And it was a lot of those things that I didn't actually realize until I went through it myself, and this is what I'm here to talk about and here to get everybody to understand why. Because now, personally, if I could go back and speak to myself when I was younger, it would be one of the first things I would say to myself. I would say, James, you need to create some sort of following for yourself on some sort of platform, because it is massive. It has got huge scope to help people, and it also is a massively life-enhancing thing for you personally as an individual, given the growth that you go through and also the opportunities that come your way as well. So, what is the point? What are people not always seeing as benefits and perks of growing a social media following? Why does not everybody prioritize it? I believe that part of the reason why some people don't do that, some people don't do it, is because they don't understand the objective. It's hard to consistently post content if you don't really understand why you're doing it. And here's the greatest things that I wish I understood before I started creating content and growing a following. The first one is networking. The number of people that get to know you and know that you're a good person, even before they've ever met you, is unbelievable. The opportunities that come your way. There's a saying that I love: DMs are the true LinkedIn. Your direct messages are the true LinkedIn. And that's because some of the stunning messages that you get, which contain opportunities to speak at events, to meet people, to network, to meet people who are famous and well known, is just unbelievable. You'll never quite believe it until you go through it yourself. And that is why it's so cool, and everybody should have a following, as I say, in my opinion. Improving your skills at chosen niche. Whatever niche you decide to create your following around, you'll actually learn loads by creating the following in the first place. People think that you have to be the expert in a particular topic in order to put yourself out there in social media. I would actually argue that it's the other way around. You become the expert by putting yourself out there in social media. And the reason is that the more people that you're putting that information out there, you're sharing it with, the more people that can see it, then the more likely you are to have experts in that field reach out and say things to you like, hey, I love that video. Have you ever thought about this, this, and this? Let's sit down over a Zoom someday and let's chat. And those people will teach you so much about whatever it is that you're into. It's unbelievable. It happened to me with finance. I got to know more about finance because I put what I already knew out there. People from the finance world reached out to me and taught me more. It was unbelievable. That's the thing that I never saw. That's the thing that I didn't recognize. You don't have to be the expert to put yourself out there. Don't market yourself as the expert. Just market yourself as someone who's learned a few things, and you're here to share that information to help others. And then guess what? People will love it. People will love your authenticity. Plus, as well as that, you'll learn more along the way. Trust me, it's huge. Greatly improves your ability to speak on camera. Go watch my early podcasts if you want to see how much the quantum leap in my ability to speak on camera has changed, has grown, has improved 100%. And that's not to say it was ever bad, but what that is to say is that it's improved massively. The scope that has occurred over and the scope for that to improve is huge. It is the hidden life skill, the hidden life hack of 2022 when you can speak very well on camera. Trust me. Also, that carries through in your day-to-day discourse with other people. You become much more articulate. When you have the camera on you and you're creating content to grow your following, you have to speak. That camera's staring you in the face. You have to speak. You have to conjure the words up from somewhere. And guess what? It feels so uncomfortable the first few times you do it. The first 50 times you do it. The first 100 times you do it. But guess what? That discomfort has another name. That's called personal growth. That's you growing. That is you outside your comfort zone. That is your brain physically remodeling so it can adapt to being a better communicator, being a better speaker, and thus improve your ability to orate. It's unbelievable. I became so much better at it with time, and it has so many ramifications inside the content world, inside the digital world, and outside the digital world as well, even in real life. It's awesome. And seriously, if I could go back and speak to myself when I was younger, the main thing I would say to myself is, James, grow a following and create content. You won't quite believe what will happen to you. When it does, the impact to help people is huge as well. It's amazing. Can also be something that's monetizable at some point. I feel like people try to monetize their following way too early, generally speaking. You have to build trust and rapport first. You know, I was listening to Gary Vee the other day, and he was saying that what most people do is they create a platform, they create a Facebook group, TikTok following, an Instagram following, and then within a few weeks, they're there with their hand out for a product. And really, if you would have just waited 6 months and then launched something after you had already created a network of people that trusted you, you'd make more in one day than you would have done in the whole of 6 months of constantly bombarding them with advertisements. And that is the mindset that if you hold your breath and you can wait, it can be extremely lucrative for you. If you do want to do that, or maybe you're just doing it purely for the love of helping people, purely for the love of creating a network of people, rather than using it to make money, which you can also, I mean, regardless of whether you're making money from it or not, it's all about intention. So just because you're making money from it doesn't actually mean that that is a negative thing. You can channel that money back into the community, use that to leverage your efforts and reach more people. Taking money is all about intention. It's about what you're going to do with the money. You might have some members that pay so that you can reach more people who don't pay and grow the network itself for the good of everybody, like a social enterprise. Just another way of looking at it. Here's a saying I want everybody to remember. Attention is currency and reputation is leverage. The second that you have human eyes on you, the second that you have attention, you can also create something that would be a product that you can use to serve those people for which there might be an investment. Those two things are the same. They equate each other. It's the second you have attention, you can create something that's monetizable. The game is about getting the attention, then worry about everything else later. Yeah. If you can get attention, it flows from there. The two things, like I say, they're totally equatable. They're the same thing. Also, as well as that, what we have to bear in mind is your reputation is your leverage. So the more people like you, the more they trust you, then the more currency is on the table effectively, and then the more monetizable it can be, should that be your intention. But to build reputation, you have to be, first of all, you have to be authentic. People will love your individual quirkiness. That's why they'll gravitate towards you. Plus, you have to be knowledgeable on your subject as well. Be willing to put your information out there that you know. Do not hold back. Give those people absolutely everything. That will mean that they get more from it. You're helping them more. Plus, there's more trust and rapport being built there. So do not hold back on the information you give them. Give them everything that's in your head. Here's what I want everyone to remember as well. You know, there's so many potential followings out there that are just waiting to be created. And that's the beauty of the internet. There's an infinite number of niches. to create something to help people, which will make them happy. And that's what the internet makes possible. I mean, you might have a group of baseball card lovers in Arkansas, in America, who need somewhere that they can congregate and talk about this one particular baseball card that they love. Yeah. And the beauty of the internet is that even though there might only be like 10 people in every town in Arkansas who care about this, you can get those people together and you can make a network of many thousands of people. And then at that point, like I say, where attention goes, money flows. You know, you can create a business, you can create something alongside that. And that is the really cool thing about it. There's so many niches out there that are waiting to be filled. It's just about finding them, identifying them. And you know what? Even if it has been filled already, you can be the next person who comes along and makes a platform for them, which is more awesome than what's already out there. Because what you'll find is very few people actually have the dedication and the commitment to constantly make content. If you make that content valuable and useful, people are going to come to your page and your group because it's a no-brainer, because they're learning stuff. And that's the point. That is seriously the point. And what that will mean is that you can grow a following easily, even if there already is a network of people out there doing the same thing that you are. It's just all about starting. And remember as well as that, there's still so many more people consuming content on the internet as a proportion of the internet's total users versus people who make content. We're maybe talking like 1 in 1,000 people make content, the other 999 are consuming the content. So that means that you have a huge opportunity there, an untapped resource of people that you can communicate with, because yeah, there's still not enough people doing it in 2022. There is a massive opportunity there. Here's the main thing that holds people back. What's up here? What's in your head? Psychological barriers. They're hard. They're hard to bust through. What will people say if I post my first video? Will people laugh at me? Will people be negative towards me? Will there be jibes about the quality of the content? Will people pick me apart because of what I've said at this particular timestamp? The answer to that is rarely, if ever, really rarely. Most people are supportive. You know, the people that aren't supportive are probably not people you really want in your network anyway. It's more a reflection of them and their character than the quality of content that you're putting up, in my personal opinion. And the thing about it is, here's a great saying that I love: be less concerned about what could go wrong and be more concerned with what could go right. And the second that you start looking at the world with those pair of eyes, you'll realize that actually these are these potential problems, these issues are greatly diminished in magnitude by the fact that the potential for what you can do with this mindset and creating a content and creating a following is huge, and it blows all of that potential for downside out of the water, in my opinion. And don't get me wrong, I used to suffer from this massively. That's why I never did it. A huge fear factor. I remember putting my first video out, but you know what? It was all totally worth it. It was awesome. Here's some general pointers. Here's things that people don't see from the other side. I want people to take this information, use it in your dental practice, use it in something outside of dentistry, use it as something that combines something in dentistry and something outside of dentistry. Use it generally as a lens through which to view the concept of growing a following. The first thing you must understand is, when you get into it, be prepared for it to become, to do it properly, you have to pretty consistently create content. You have to think about doing it once, twice a week, 3 times a week. Have your set days where you can create content or you do something. It's more of a lifestyle. That's what you'll find. Less of an occupation, more of a lifestyle, because you have to really think about it in the back of your mind. You have to be on the constant lookout for ideas, opportunities. It's not really something that you start at 9 in the morning, then you turn off at 5 p.m. at night. It's more about doing it consistently and always having your mind open. Be analyzing the world and thinking of what your next piece of content might be. For some people, they're not prepared to do that. Just a heads up, if you do go down this path and you want to do it properly and you want to be committed to it and you want to make it work, that's the person that you must become. I personally think it's worth it, and not everybody's prepared to do that. Some people want their 9 to 5 and they don't want to think about Anything else on top of that, that's fine. Here's the first thing I'll say to you: whatever it is, whatever you create content around, it needs to be fun, because then you will be working without even realizing it, because you'll be having fun. You'll be making videos on something that you'll find it fun to talk about. Here's the first thing I would ask yourself. Ask yourself that whatever this thing is you're going to make videos about and grow a following around, would you do it for free? Would you do it if no one paid you? And for me, the answer has to be yes, because you need that level of energy. You need to find it actively fun to be able to execute it over long periods of time, because it feels like work to you. You'll never keep up the intensity. Consistent positivity opens doors. Please, 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 please be positive, constantly positive, even when it feels a little inauthentic, especially at the start. You'll become more positive as time goes on. You'll grow into that person. People can turn on the news if they want negative stuff. Negative events worldwide service is the acronym for what the news actually stands for. That is where people can get that stuff that is not so positive. There's plenty of that. It's overbearing. It surrounds us in this world. People want an oasis of happiness. And that's what you want to create your page, because you know what? That's so hard to find. That's what you want to create your page around, centered around that idea, centered around that philosophy, because then the people, they'll come to you because they want positivity. That's what they want. And you know, on Dentistry Invest, this is why I maintain it to be the way that it is, because I personally feel like there's so much negative stuff out there in the world that people need a break from that. People want to be cheered up, and that's why Dentistry Invest, I consistently curate the content on there to have to be happy and just to focus on the positives of life, because there's many more positives than negatives, but unfortunately the negatives are louder, which is a bit frustrating and unrepresentative. Requires growth in terms of mindset for most people. Holy moly, you need to be an absolute beast. You need to be a beast in front of the camera. You need to not care what anybody thinks about you if you want to create content consistently and grow a following. You need to become a different person. And that's what I wish I could have told myself many moons ago. I had no idea what I was getting into. Thankfully, I love it. I absolutely love this stuff. I would do this. I do, I do it. I do it for free. I enjoy it so much. I love creating content. I love speaking on camera. I really do adore it. I wasn't always that person, but yeah, like I say, here I am. I definitely grew a lot as an individual. And for me, those changes were all positive and they were all worthwhile. Another pointer, this is the thing that holds people back hugely. They feel like they have to edit their videos, that they have to look slick. 6 out of 10 is good enough. Trust me, 6 out of 10 is good enough. You're never going to get to 10 out of 10 unless you start, if you don't start in the first place. So those first few videos are always going to be 6 out of 10. Forget the editing. Just go speak into the camera, put it up raw and unedited. And the reason that you should do that is because it's good for you to realize that actually content that you don't feel is 10 out of 10 is good enough on the internet. There's always going to be those little flaws, little imperfections that will get you comfortable with that. And then what that will mean is that you're totally happy to do that continuously going forwards, because the perfectionism will stifle you. I promise you. 6 out of 10 is good enough. The 10 out of 10 stuff comes further down the line, but you're never going to get further down the line unless we start in the first place. So important. Here's one final thought about growing a following. We talk about compounding a lot and investing. Here's Warren Buffett. He's got a big smile on his face because his money has compounded to a completely stupendous degree, where he's got many billions in the bank account. He understands the power of compounding. He understands that most of the gains come later, come further down the line, because money grows exponentially when it's invested. But actually, money is not the only thing that compounds in life. Many things compound. And you know what else compounds? Followings. But guess what that means? That you have to start somewhere in order for it to grow exponentially towards the end. The earlier you start, then the more growth you subsequently see. And I want to leave everybody with that thought. Compounding is not just strictly applicable to money. It actually applies to lots of things in life. It applies to knowledge, it applies to relationships. And guess what it also applies to? It applies to following. So you're never going to become that person who's got many thousands, millions of subscribers on YouTube, if that's what you want, or any platform, unless we start in the first place. And the sooner we start, the better, because the greater that subsequent exponential growth is. Summary: creating a following is a gateway to some amazing things in life. Still underrated, in my opinion. The internet's underrated, in my opinion. Everyone knows about the internet, everyone loves the internet, but it's still underrated. There's so many amazing things that you can do out there. Greatest skills you can have in life is speaking. 100%. That's like I say, I would, if I could go back and tell myself that when I was younger, I would, in a heartbeat. I would say, James, focus on your ability to speak. How do you get good at speaking? You make content. Where do you put the content? You put it on social media. And what happens next? You grow a following around it, and it grows and grows and grows from there. It's unbelievable, most worthwhile thing. There's a niche out there waiting for you about something that you're passionate about. The fact that you're doing this will make you into a completely different person, a warrior in terms of your mindset. It's just unbelievable. I honestly wish I could just take that feeling and put it in everybody's head, because it is that awesome and it's that useful to you. Always remember, where attention goes, currency flows. The second you can get eyes on you consistently, you have something monetizable. You've got a side gig waiting to happen. Social media is not the only way you can create a side gig. It's just one of the easiest. It will grow you in ways you never can imagine, as we know already. And the best thing to do, just like Warren Buffett knows with his compounded investments, the best thing to do is just start. Thank you so much, guys. Thank you so much for attending Money Mondays. Lots of gold dust in there. As always, see you soon on Thursday Thoughts on Investing, and I'll catch you next week for another episode of Money Mondays.